The morning came to the Caldwell house the way it always did with sound. Violet heard the alarm clock first. Not the beep she had learned to silence that months ago, but the mechanical tick that started 3 seconds before the alarm would ring. Tick, tick, tick. Her hand shot out from under the blanket, fingers finding the button on the second tick. Silence again. She lay still in the dark that was no different from the light listening. Mabel's slippers on the hallway floor. Shuffle, shuffle, pause. Shuffle, shuffle, pause. The pause was new. It had started 2 weeks ago. Violet counted the pauses now. 7 from Mabel's bedroom to the bathroom. 11 from the bathroom to the kitchen. Each pause a little longer than the last. Violet did not ask about the pauses. She sat up, swung her legs over the side of the bed, and her feet found the rug exactly where it should be. The familiar path from her bed to the kitchen table. She had walked it 1,000 times in the 18 months since the world went dark. 18 months since the drunk driver ran the red light on Highway 101. 18 months since her father died on impact and her mother died in the ambulance. And Violet woke up 3 days later in a hospital room that smelled like disinfectant and loss. And the doctor said the optic nerves were too damaged. There was nothing they could do. She would never see again. 18 months of learning to see with her ears. She stood, found her white cane leaning against the nightstand. The red roller tip made a soft sound against the hardwood floor as she moved toward the door. Tap, step, tap, step. The rhythm of her new life. In the kitchen, Mabel was already at the stove. Violet heard the coffee percolator starting to bubble, the sound of butter hitting a hot pan, the crack of an egg against the rim of a bowl. "Morning, Vi," Mabel said. Her voice was bright, but there was something underneath it. Something Violet had learned to hear in the past 2 weeks. The same something that lived in the pauses between Mabel's steps. "Morning," Violet said. She found her chair at the table, the one that faced the window she could no longer see through. Sat down, folded her hands in her lap. "Big day," Mabel said. The butter sizzled. "You excited?" "Yes." "Blessing of the Fleet hasn't happened in 3 years. Not since the pandemic. Whole town's going to be there." Violet nodded. She heard Mabel crack another egg, heard the fork scraping the bowl, heard the pause. "Mabel." "Yes, honey." "Are you okay?" The scraping stopped. For 3 seconds, and there was only the percolator bubbling and a crow cawing somewhere outside. "I'm fine, Vi. Why do you ask?" "You're stopping more when you walk." Another pause. Longer this time. Then Mabel laughed, but it was not her real laugh. "Old knees, sweetheart. Nothing to worry about." Violet wanted to say she heard the pill bottle rattling in Mabel's pocket every morning. Wanted to say she knew those were not vitamins, because vitamins did not come in bottles that small, and Mabel did not hide vitamin bottles in the back of the medicine cabinet behind the expired cough syrup. Wanted to say she was 9 years old, but she was not stupid. But she did not say any of that, because Mabel did not want her to know, and Violet had learned that sometimes love meant pretending you did not hear the things you heard. So she just said, okay. Breakfast was scrambled eggs and toast. Violet ate slowly, mapping the plate with her fork the way she had been taught. Eggs at 9 o'clock, toast at 3 o'clock, orange juice at 1 o'clock. Everything in its place. Order in the chaos. After breakfast, Mabel brought out the blue tag. Violet heard the plastic rustle, heard Mabel's breathing change the way it always did when they did this part. This was the part Mabel hated. The part that felt like advertising what Violet could not do instead of what she could. But it was necessary. "Arms up," Mabel said softly. Violet raised her arms, felt Mabel thread the lanyard over her head. The plastic tag settled against her chest, cool through her shirt. Mabel's fingers smoothed it flat. "Can you read it for me?" Mabel asked. She asked this every time, even though they both knew Violet had it memorized. Violet's fingers found the raised letters on the tag. She traced them slowly. Violet Caldwell, age 9, priest, blind. And below that, "Please ask before helping me." Why do we wear this V? And Violet had this memorized too. Because people think helping means doing things for me. But helping means asking me first what I need. That's right. Mabel's hand rested on Violet's shoulder. Squeezed once. "Never forget that, baby. You have a voice. You have choices." This tag reminds people to listen to both. Violet nodded. The coup felt heavier than it should. They left the house at 8:30. Violet counted her steps to the bus stop, each one familiar, each one measured. Mabel walked beside her, not touching, not guiding, just present, the way Violet had asked her to be. The bus arrived 7 minutes late. Violet heard it before Mabel did the diesel engine, grinding up the hill 3 blocks away. By the time it hissed to a stop in front of them, Violet had already collapsed her cane and tucked it under her arm. "Morning, Mabel." "Morning, Violet," the driver said. His name was Raymond. He had driven this route for 11 years. Violet knew because he had told her the first time she rode his bus after the accident, and he had been kind when she cried because everything was different and she did not know how to be a person who could not see. "Morning, Ray," Mabel said, heading to the festival. "Big crowd today, you two be careful." They sat in the fourth row on the right side. Violet counted the stops. First stop, the medical plaza. She heard Mrs. Patterson get on, smelled her rose perfume. Second stop, the library. 3 people got on, none of them talking. Third stop, the elementary school. No one got on, but Violet heard children on the playground, their voices high and wild. She turned her face toward the sound, wondered if any of them were from her old class, wondered if they remembered her, wondered if they knew she was supposed to be there with them. In 4th grade, learning multiplication and Oregon history, instead of here on a bus with her grandmother, learning how to exist in a world that was not built for people who could not see. 11 turns, 3 stop signs, 1 railroad crossing. Violet mapped the road in her mind, each sound a landmark. By the time they reached Saltwater Bay, she could have drawn the path if she still knew how to draw. The bus doors opened and the smell hit her first. Salt water, fried food, sunscreen, diesel fuel, and underneath it all the ocean. Violet had seen the ocean before the accident. She remembered blue. She remembered white foam. She remembered her father holding her up so a wave could crash over her feet, and she had screamed and laughed at the same time. She did not let herself think about that. "Stay close," Mabel said. Her hand brushed Violet's elbow, a question, not a command. Violet nodded, extended her cane. The red roller tip touched the sidewalk, and she was moving Mabel, matching her pace a few feet to her left. The festival was loud. Violet had prepared for loud, had practiced in her mind, but practicing and experiencing were not the same thing. The sound crashed over her like a physical thing. Voices layered on voices. Music from a speaker somewhere playing classic rock. A fairy horn low and deep vibrating in her chest. Seagulls screaming, children laughing, someone hammering, a dog barking. The slap of water against the pier. Footsteps in every direction. Too much, too many sounds moving too fast for her to map. "Vah," Mabel's voice close. "You okay?" Violet nodded, but her hand was gripping the cane handle so hard her knuckles hurt. She forced herself to breathe, forced herself to do what her orientation and mobility instructor had taught her. Pick one sound, follow it, build the map one piece at a time. She picked the fairy horn, ahead of her, maybe 100 feet. That was north. The ocean would be west. The parking lot east. The information booth was supposed to be near the ferry dock. Mabel had shown her the map, had let Violet trace the raised lines with her fingers. "There's a bench," Mabel said, "near the information booth. I can see it from here. Can we make it there together?" "Yes." They walked, slowly. Violet's cane sweeping left and right, finding the edge of the sidewalk, the base of a trash can, the leg of a sandwich board sign someone had left too close to the walkway. Mabel narrated obstacles, her voice calm and steady. Stroller at 2 o'clock, man with a cooler at 10, crowd thinning ahead. They reached the bench. Violet heard Mabel sit down with a small sound that was relief and pain mixed together. One of the pauses. "I need to use the restroom, Vi," Mabel said. "Will you be okay here for 2 minutes?" Violet wanted to say no, wanted to say, "Please do not leave me alone in this ocean of sound." But she was 9 years old and she was trying to be brave, and Mabel was trying to let her be independent, and sometimes you had to pretend to be okay even when you were not. "I'll be okay," Violet said. 2 minutes, Mabel said. "You stay right here. If you need help, the information booth is 15 feet straight ahead. There's a woman there named Dorothy. She knows we're here." "Okay, okay." "What do you do if we get separated?" Violet recited it. "Stay where I am, count to 100. If you're not back, go to the information booth. Wait there, don't let anyone take me anywhere." "Good girl." Mabel's hand touched Violet's hair just for a second. 2 minutes. Violet heard Mabel walk away. Counted the footsteps. 12 steps, then the sound of a door opening and closing. Then Mabel was gone and Violet was alone. She counted seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. At 47 Mississippi, a man's voice very close said, "Hey, sweetie, are you lost?" Violet turned toward the voice. "No, sir. I'm waiting for my grandmother." "You sure you look lost?" "I'm sure." The man did not leave. Violet could hear him breathing, could smell coffee and cigarette smoke. "Where's your grandmother?" "The restroom. She'll be back in 2 minutes." "Maybe I should wait with you." "No, thank you." "I really think—" "Sir," Violet's voice was louder now, "please ask before helping me." Her hand found the blue tag on her chest, held it out toward where she thought his voice was coming from. Silence, then, "Oh, I didn't— Sorry, I'll just— Yeah." Footsteps moving away quickly. Violet's heart was pounding. She started counting again. 63 Mississippi, 64 Mississippi. At 87 Mississippi, the ferry horn blasted. It was so loud and so close and so sudden that Violet jerked hard to the left. Her cane was in her right hand, the tip resting on the ground, and when she jerked, the tip caught in a crack between 2 wooden planks. Her body turned before her cane did. The cane bent. Violet pulled. Somehow, the red roller tip stuck fast, and then Violet was stumbling forward off balance, trying not to fall, her free hand reaching out for something, anything to catch herself. Her hand hit fabric. Leather. Something solid and warm. A person. She bounced off, staggered back, and heard something fall. A clatter of wood on wood. Voices stopping mid-sentence. A child saying, "Mommy, look." Violet stood very still. Her cane was still caught. She could not move forward or back. The crowd noise had dropped by half, everyone in the immediate area suddenly quiet, suddenly watching. A man's voice close, deep, rough, like gravel. "Easy there." Then another voice higher, angry. "Do you see what you did? Do you have any idea how long it took me to make that?" Violet's throat closed. She knew that tone. That was the tone of an adult who was about to yell. She lowered her chin, made herself small, made herself ready. "I'm sorry," she said. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. "I can't see." Silence. 3 seconds of it. Then the first man, the one with the gravel voice, said, "Your cane's stuck." "I know. You want help with that?" No one had ever asked her that before. They just helped, just grabbed her arm or her cane or her shoulder and pulled or pushed or guided without asking. But this man was asking. Violet nodded. "Okay, I'm going to touch the cane shaft, not your hands, just the shaft. That okay?" "Yes." She felt the cane shift, felt it angle slightly to the right, then lift. The red roller tip came free with a soft snap. The man held the cane steady until Violet's hands found it again, then he let go. "Thank you," Violet said. "You're welcome." Violet could hear him breathing, could hear the creak of leather when he moved, could hear something else too, a jingle, like keys or chains. And underneath the leather smell, there was coffee, spilled coffee. "Did I make you spill your coffee?" Violet asked. A pause. "Little bit, not your fault." "It is my fault. I bumped into you." "The horn spooked you. That's not the same thing." The second man, the angry one, spoke again. "You need to be more careful. This isn't a playground. You can't just wander around swinging that stick." Violet's hand tightened on the cane handle. That word, stick. Like her cane was not a tool, was not her eyes, was not the thing that kept her from falling into streets and walking into walls and getting lost in crowds. Just a stick. The gravel-voiced man said, "Owen, what I'm just saying, don't." Owen went quiet. Violet heard him pick something up off the ground, heard him brushing it off. "Is something broken?" Violet asked. "No," Owen said, but his voice was still tight. "No, it's fine." Violet did not think it was fine. A woman's voice now from a few feet away. "Is she with you?" The question hung in the air. Violet felt it, the weight of it, the assumption underneath it. Big man, rough voice, blind child, the math that people would do. The gravel-voiced man did not answer right away. When he did, his voice was very calm, very measured. "No, ma'am. She bumped it into me after the horn. I'm asking her what kind of help she wants." Violet turned her face toward his voice. Something in her chest unknotted slightly. He said asking, not giving. Asking. Information booth, Violet said. My Mabel said if we get separated, I should go to the information booth. What's your Mabel's name? Mabel Caldwell. And your name? Violet. The man was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Violet, I'm going to read what's on your tag. Is that okay? Yes. She felt him lean closer, heard the leather creak again. Then he read slowly like the words mattered. Please ask before helping me. He paused, reading the rest silently, then looked at her. That's good advice. My Mabel made it for me. Your Mabel's smart. The man shifted. Violet heard chains rattle. That tag says to ask first, Violet. So I'm asking, do you want me to call someone from the information booth to come get you, or do you want me to stay here with you while someone goes to get them? No one had ever given her that choice before. Can they come here? Violet asked. Yes. Violet heard footsteps. Someone walking closer, fast. A younger man's voice, also rough, said, Boss, I need you to get this harbor coordinator, the gravel-voiced man said. Tell her the accessible path is blocked, and we have a child who needs to get to the information booth. On it. The footsteps moved away quickly. Violet, the gravel-voiced man said. I'm Fletcher. Most people call me Fletch. I'm going to stay near you until help comes. Is that okay? Yes. I'm standing to your right, about 3 feet away. The water is on your left, about 6 feet behind a railing. Owen's table is behind you. The ferry dock is ahead. You understand? Violet nodded. She did understand. He was giving her a map made of words, giving her the shape of the space. No one had ever done that before either. 3 feet, she asked. Yeah, close enough to hear you. Far enough you have got space. Is that too close? No, that's good. Behind her, Owen made a sound. Not quite a word. Violet heard him set something down on his table. Heard him step back. The anger had leaked out of his voice when he spoke next. I didn't know, he said quietly. Fletch did not answer him. Violet stood very still. Her cane was vertical now, the tip resting on the wooden planks. She could feel it vibrating slightly with each footstep that passed nearby, each drag of a cooler, each rumble of a stroller wheel. The pier was alive under her feet, moving, breathing. People were moving around them. Violet could hear them, a river of sound flowing past. Shoes on wood, wheels, voices, so many voices. She tried to count them, tried to build the map, but there were too many. The sounds overlapped and blurred, and she lost the edges of things. Violet, Fletch said, you're doing that thing where you hold your breath. She was. She let the air out. You count sounds, he asked. Violet nodded. Me too. Different reason, but same idea. He paused. What are you hearing right now? Too many things. Pick one. I don't know how. Sure you do. Pick the one that matters most. Violet listened. Underneath all the noise, underneath the voices and the footsteps and the ferry and the gulls, there was something steady, something rhythmic. Waves, she could hear waves. The ocean, she said. Good, that's west. Sun comes up, east sets west. Waves are west. That means the dock is north. You hearing the dock? Violet listened harder. Yes, creaking. Wood on wood. Ropes pulling tight and going slack. Yes. Good, you just built a compass. Now you're not lost. Violet felt something loosen in her chest. He was right. She was not lost. She knew where the ocean was. She knew where the dock was. She knew Fletch was standing to her right, close enough to hear, but far enough to give her room. A motorcycle engine coughed somewhere close, then another, then a third. The sound was massive, overwhelming. Violet's shoulders went up to her ears. Her free hand found the blue tag on her chest and gripped it. She heard Fletch turn, heard him say something, but his voice was not loud, not sharp, just clear. Engines off. One by one, the motorcycles went quiet. The rumble dropped out of the air. What was left was the ocean, the dock, the voices, the gulls, still loud, still chaotic, but less crowded in her ears. Violet breathed. Thank you, she said. You're welcome. A new voice, female, brisk. I'm Dorothy Merrick. I'm the harbor coordinator. Someone said there was a problem with the accessible path. Fletch's voice. Yeah, yellow strips buried under about 6 vendor stalls. Can't see it at all. What? Dorothy's voice went sharp. Show me. Footsteps. Violet heard them walking away, heard Fletch say something she could not make out, heard Dorothy say a word that Violet was not supposed to know, but had heard her father say once when he hit his thumb with a hammer. They came back. Violet, Dorothy said, and her voice was softer now. My name is Dot. I work here at the harbor. Are you hurt? No, ma'am. Do you know where your grandmother is? Violet's throat got tight. She went to the restroom. She said 2 minutes. It's been longer than 2 minutes. Okay, we're going to find her. Can you tell me her name? Mabel Caldwell. Violet heard a radio click, heard Dorothy speak into it. I need a check on all restrooms for an elderly woman named Mabel Caldwell. Also need a medical check. She's got a granddaughter waiting at the information area. A crackling voice came back. Violet could not make out the words. Dorothy said, copy that. Then to Vit. We're checking. You're safe. Fletch is going to stay with you. Is that okay? Yes. More footsteps. More voices. Violet tried to count them but lost track. Her cane tip found another crack and the boards caught slightly. She pulled it free, adjusted her grip. The red roller felt loose, wobbly. She had landed hard when she bumped into Fletch. Something might have bent. She tested it, rolled the cane tip forward. It caught. She rolled it back. It caught again. The rubber was split on one side. She could feel it with her fingers when she crouched down to check. Problem, Fletch's voice. The roller tip is cracked. Can you still walk on it? Violet tried. The cane caught every few inches now. Before it had been smooth. Now it was like walking on a surface made of teeth. Not really, she said quietly. Fletch crouched down beside her. She heard his knees pop, heard the leather creak. May I look at it? Yes. She felt him lift the cane slightly, felt his fingers on the shaft, not on her hands. He was quiet for a long moment. It's pretty torn up, he said finally. The rubber split, and there's a piece folded out. That's what's catching. Can you fix it? Maybe. Not perfect, but maybe enough to get you where you need to go. You want me to try? Violet hesitated. The cane was hers. It was her eyes. Letting someone else touch it, really touch it, take it apart felt like letting someone touch her eyes. But the cane was broken, and she could not walk without it. And Fletch had asked. He had asked every single time before he did anything. Yes, she said. Please try. Okay, I'm going to take it from you. I'm going to hold it by the shaft, not the handle. You'll still have control of the handle until I need to work on the bottom part. That okay? Yes. She felt him take the weight of the cane, felt her hand still resting on the handle. Then gently he said, I'm going to need you to let go now, Violet. I'll hand it right back when I'm done. Violet's fingers did not want to let go, but she made them. She pulled her hand back and folded it in her lap and sat very still. She heard Fletch settle onto the ground. Heard something unzip. A bag, a toolkit maybe. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, Fletch said. Every step, okay. I've got medical tape, the kind that sticks to skin. It'll stick to rubber too, but I'm wrapping it around the split part of the roller, 3 times around. There. You hear that? Violet heard the rip of tape, the slight crinkle of it wrapping. Yes. Good. Now I've got a little rubber ring. I use them on my bike to keep cables from rattling. I'm going to slide it behind the roller between the roller and the shaft. It'll keep the roller from wobbling. You with me? Yes. Okay, stretching the ring, sliding it on. There. Now I'm going to roll it on the ground. Test it. Violet heard the cane tip roll across the wooden planks. A dull, uneven sound. Not smooth, but moving. It's rough, Fletch said. It'll catch sometimes, but it'll get you to the information booth. After that, you'll need a new tip. There's a medical supply store in town. They'll have one. Okay. I'm handing it back now, to your right. Violet reached out. Her fingers found the shaft slid down to the tape. She could feel the rough edge of it, the slight bulk of the rubber ring underneath. Someone had fixed her cane, had made it work again, had not asked her to just wait, just sit still, just let someone else deal with it, had asked her what she wanted and then done it. Thank you, she said. You did the hard part, Fletch said. You told me what you needed. Footsteps running. The young man's voice again. Fletch, medical tent found her. Mabel Caldwell. She passed out in the restroom. Someone found her. She's awake now. They're checking her vitals. Violet stood up fast. Too fast, the world tilted. Is she okay? She's awake, the young man said. They're bringing her to the medical tent. It's near the information booth. I need to go to her. Violet, Fletch's voice calm, steady. Your cane's fixed, but it's not perfect. The path to the booth is blocked. We're clearing it now, but it's going to take a few minutes. Can you wait? Violet's hands were shaking. Mabel had passed out. Mabel was in the medical tent. Mabel needed her. But Violet could not walk. Not yet. Not until the path was clear. Yes, she said. I can wait. Okay, I'm going to stay here. You tell me if you need anything. Violet nodded. She gripped her cane tight, felt the tape under her fingers, counted her breaths. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. The way Mabel had taught her after the accident when the panic came and would not leave. Dorothy's voice cut through the noise. Move those crates, now. I don't care if you have a permit. You're blocking an AD, a compliant path. Move them, or I'm calling the cops. A man's voice defensive. I've been here for 3 hours. And you've been breaking federal law for 3 hours. Move them. Another voice, younger, uncertain. But I'll lose business if I move my booth. That's my livelihood. And that's her independence. Fletch said, his voice still calm but carrying weight. Which matters more? Easy for you to say. Violet had been quiet through all of it, had let the adults argue about her path, about her needs, about what was fair. But the vendor's words, easy for you to say, landed wrong in her chest. She stepped forward. Not far, just enough that her voice would carry. Excuse me, she said. The arguing stopped. The vendor turned toward her voice. I don't want you to lose money, Violet's fawn. Her voice was steady, but her hand gripped the cane tight. I don't want anyone to have a hard time because of me. But my Mabel told me the yellow path would be there. She wouldn't lie to me. The vendor opened his mouth, closed it. And I can't see your booth, Violet continued. I can't see how hard you worked on it. But you can see my cane. You can see it's broken. And I can't walk without it. So I'm asking, she took a breath. Please, I just need the path. That's all. Silence. 5 seconds of it. The harbor held its breath, then a small voice. A child. Papa, she whispered, move the table, please. The vendor looked at his daughter, looked at Violet, looked at the yellow strip buried under his crates. All right, he said quietly. All right, I'll move it. And then something happened that Violet could not see, but could feel. One by one, the other vendors began moving their things, not because Dorothy demanded it, not because Fletch shamed them, but because a 9-year-old girl had asked, had reminded them that the path was not just paint on wood, it was someone's way home. Violet heard crates scraping, heard the clang of metal signs being folded, heard footsteps moving fast, people working, and underneath it all, the sound of something appearing. The yellow strip, the tactile path, the thing that was supposed to be there, that was supposed to be protected, that had been buried and forgotten. Fletch said, they're clearing it. I hear it, Violet said. More footsteps. Dorothy again. Okay, path is clear from here to the information booth. Violet, do you want someone to walk with you, or do you want verbal directions? Violet tested the repaired roller against the ground. It caught once, then rolled rough. Not perfect, but enough. Directions, she said. Please. Okay. Dorothy's voice moved to Violet's left. I'm standing at the start of the yellow strip. It's a straight line from here to the booth. 30 feet. The strip has raised bumps. You'll feel them with your cane. Water is still on your left behind the rail. The booth is straight ahead. Fletch is behind you. I'll walk next to the strip, not on it. I'll tell you if anything changes. Ready? Violet placed her cane on the yellow strip, felt the bumps under the roller. They were small but distinct. She could feel them. Ready, she said. She took one step. The roller caught on the tape, then rolled free. She stopped, adjusted, took another step. This one was smoother. Behind her, Fletch's voice. You're doing fine, Violet. She took a third step, a fourth. The bumps guided her cane. The sound of the ocean told her where west was. Dorothy's footsteps told her she was not alone. Somewhere ahead, maybe 20 feet, Violet heard a woman crying, quiet, trying to hide it. But Violet knew that sound. She had made that sound herself in the hospital when the doctor said she would never see again. Mabel, Violet said. The crying stopped. Then broken, shaking Vi. I'm coming. Violet walked faster. The cane caught twice, but she did not stop. She counted steps. 10, 11, 12. The bumps under her cane never wavered. The path was straight. The path was clear. At 15 steps, the ferry gate groaned open. Violet heard the crowd shift, heard footsteps suddenly everywhere. People moving toward the dock, toward the ferry, toward the water. People moving across her path. Violet froze. The map in her head shattered. She did not know where the people were, did not know where the railing was, did not know where the yellow strip went. The sounds were too many, too fast, too close. I don't know where the floor is anymore, she whispered. She felt her cane lift off the ground, felt her hands shaking, felt the panic coming like a wave. Then Fletch's voice calm and close, but not too close. Gate's not ready yet, Violet. They opened it too soon. Dot's closing it. You're still on the path. Water's still left. Booth's still ahead. I'm still behind you, close enough to hear, far enough to give you room. Violet heard Dorothy's radio crackle, heard her say, hold the ferry. Gate stays closed until this child is clear. A man's voice frustrated. We're already behind schedule. Then we'll be more behind. Hold it. The gate clanged shut. The crowd noise shifted, people stopping, confused. Violet heard murmurs, heard someone say, what's going on? Heard someone else say, there's a kid. Fletch's voice again. Violet, you're okay. The path is clear. Take your time. Violet lowered her cane, felt the bumps. They were still there. The path was still there. She took another step, then another. The crowd had moved back. She could hear it, the space opening around her. Not because someone had yelled, not because someone had forced them, just because people saw and understood and moved. At 20 steps, Violet's cane hit something different. Not wood, rubber, a mat. That's the booth mat, Dorothy said softly. You made it. Violet stopped, lifted her head toward where Mabel's crying had been. Mabel, I'm here, baby. Mabel's voice was close now, maybe 10 feet. I'm right here. Violet heard wheels, a wheelchair. They had put Mabel in a wheelchair. Can I come to you? Violet asked. Yes, sweetheart, Mabel said. Then her voice caught. But there's a metal plate between us, the ramp transition. It sounds different than wood. Violet's hand tightened on the cane. I don't know metal. Dorothy stepped closer. Violet, it's 2 feet wide. The sound will change hollow like an echo. Then it's wood again. I can guide you with words if you want. Violet shook her head. Tell me what it sounds like. Dorothy knelt, tapped her knuckles on the metal plate. A dull, ringing sound. Different from wood. Louder. Like that? Violet asked. Exactly like that. Violet lowered her cane, tapped the rubber mat. Solid quiet. She moved forward 6 inches. Tapped again. Metal. The sound rang out, echoed back from somewhere. Violet flinched. Her breathing went fast. I don't like it, she whispered. I know, baby, Mabel said, but it's only 2 feet. Then you're back on wood. Then you're here. Violet stood frozen. The metal sound was wrong. It didn't make sense in her map. Wood she understood. Wood was docks and floors and home. Metal was car crashes and hospital beds and things that hurt. Violet? Fletch's voice still behind her. Still that careful distance. You're in control. You can wait. You can ask for help. You can turn around. It's your choice. Violet's fingers found the handle of her cane, gripped it tight. She had walked 20 steps while 500 people watched. She had asked vendors to move. She had told Fletch what she needed. She had done hard things today. She could do one more. She took a breath. I'm going to try, she said. She placed the cane on the metal plate. The taped roller made that hollow ringing sound. Wrong, but not dangerous, just different. 1 step. Her foot touched metal. The vibration went up through her shoe, through her leg. She stopped, counted to 4, breathed. 2nd step, still on metal, still wrong, but Mabel was breathing ahead of her. She could hear it. Close now. 3rd step, the cane tip found wood. The sound changed, solid, quiet home. You're off it, Dorothy said softly. 2 more steps. Violet walked. 4, 5. Her cane bumped something soft. I'm here, Mabel said. Violet dropped the cane. reached out, felt Mabel's hands close around hers. I crossed the metal, Violet whispered. I know, baby. I know. Mabel pulled her close. You did it. And for the first time in 18 months, Violet let herself cry. Not because she was femme, not because she was scared, but because the world had bent for her, had stopped, had waited, had asked, and she had walked anyway. Mabel was still shaking when the nurse arrived. Violet heard her before the wheelchair stopped moving, heard the rustle of scrubs, the click of a pen, the soft beep of something electronic. Medical sounds, hospital sounds. Sounds that Violet had learned to hate in the 3 days she spent waking up to a world she could no longer see. Mrs. Caldwell, I'm Nurse Ida Finch. I need to check your vitals again. Is that all right? Mabel's hand squeezed Violet's once more before letting go. Yes, yes, that's fine. Violet stepped back. Not far, just enough to give Ida room to work. Her cane was still on the ground where she had dropped it. She crouched down, felt for it, found the taped roller tip, stood back up. Violet, Fletch's voice, still nearby, still there. I'm okay. Your grandmother's getting checked out. Nurse Ida's good. She'll take care of her. Violet nodded. She could hear Ida working. The Velcro rip of a blood pressure cuff, the beep of a finger monitor. Mabel's breathing a little too fast. Deep breath for me, Mabel, Ida said. Good, again. Violet wanted to ask what was wrong. Wanted to ask why Mabel had passed out, why she was in a wheelchair, why Ida's voice had that careful tone that meant something was not right. But she did not ask because Mabel did not want her to know, and Violet had learned that sometimes you had to wait for people to tell you the truth in their own time. So she stood there gripping her cane, counting Mabel's breaths. Behind her, the crowd was getting restless. Violet could hear it, feet shifting, voices rising. Someone said, "How long are we supposed to wait?" Someone else said, "They said just a few more minutes." A child's voice, high and impatient. "Daddy, I want to get on the boat." "Soon, buddy, soon." Violet felt the weight of it. All those people waiting, because of her, because she could not see, because her cane had broken and the path had been blocked, and she had needed help. Mabel always said it was not Violet's fault, said the world should be accessible, should be designed for everyone, should not put the burden on the person who needed help. But right now, feeling hundreds of people's impatience pressing against her back, Violet felt like it was her fault anyway. Vi, Mabel's voice still shaky but trying to be strong. Come here, baby. Violet moved forward. Her cane found the wheelchair footrest again. Mabel's hand found her arm, pulled her close. I'm okay, Mabel whispered. Just got dizzy. They want to monitor me for a little while, but I'm okay. Violet nodded against Mabel's shoulder. Mabel smelled like the lavender soap she always used in something else. Something metallic. Fear, maybe. Mrs. Caldwell, Ida said, your heart rate is elevated and your blood pressure is higher than I'd like. Have you taken your medication today? Silence. Then quietly, yes. All of it. Another pause. Most of it. Most of it isn't all of it, Mabel. Violet felt Mabel's hand tighten on her arm. Felt Mabel take a breath like she was going to say something, then let it out without speaking. Ida's voice softened. I'm not scolding you. I'm just trying to help. But I need you to be honest with me. Did you skip your morning dose because you didn't want Violet to see you taking it? The silence stretched longer this time. Then Mabel said so quietly Violet almost did not hear it, yes. Something in Violet's chest cracked. Mabel had not taken her medicine because of her, because Mabel did not want Violet to worry, because Mabel was trying to protect her, and it had almost made Mabel collapse on a bathroom floor where no one could find her. Mabel, Violet said, not now, Vi. Mabel, I know about the pills. I hear the bottle every morning. Mabel went very still. And yeah, I hear you open the cabinet, Violet continued. I hear the pills rattle. I hear you take them with water from the tap. I've known for 3 weeks. Oh, why didn't you tell me? Mabel's hand moved to Violet's hair, smoothed it back the way she always did when she was trying to find the right words. Because you're 9 years old, baby. You shouldn't have to worry about your grandmother's heart. But I do worry. I worry more when I don't know. Ida cleared her throat softly. She's right, Mabel. Kids always know more than we think, and secrets make the worry worse. Mabel was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I have a heart condition, atrial fibrillation. It's manageable with medication, but I have to take it every day, twice a day. And sometimes I forget, or sometimes I think I can skip it, and that's stupid and I'm sorry. Are you dying? Violet asked. Her voice came out smaller than she meant it to. No, sweetheart. No, the medicine works. I just have to take it. I will take it. I promise. Violet wanted to believe her, wanted to stop hearing the pauses in Mabel's steps, stop smelling the fear, stop feeling like the ground was always about to disappear under her feet. But she had lost her parents, had lost her sight, had learned that the world could take things away without warning, without mercy. Okay, she said, because there was nothing else to say. Ida finished her exam, told Mabel to rest for 20 minutes, drink water, take the second dose of medication she had skipped, told Violet that Mabel would be fine, that she just needed to be more careful. Then Ida walked away, and it was just Violet and Mabel and the waiting crowd and the closed ferry gate. Violet, Fletch's voice. May I talk to you for a minute? Violet turned toward him. Yes. She heard him move closer, not the 3 feet from before, maybe 5 now, far enough to be respectful, close enough to be heard without shouting. Your cane's going to hold for a little while, he said, but not forever. The tape will come loose. The roller will bend more. You're going to need a new tip today. Medical supply store is 3 blocks from here. Harbor Medical Supply. They'll have what you need. Okay, I can call ahead. Tell them you're coming. They'll have it ready. Violet hesitated. Why are you helping me? It was the question she had wanted to ask since the moment she bumped into him, since he asked instead of grabbed, since he gave her space and let her choose. Fletch was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, softer, like he was telling her something true. I had a wife, he said, Margaret, Maggie. She had multiple sclerosis. For the last 5 years of her life, she was in a wheelchair. Couldn't walk, couldn't dress herself, needed help with everything. Violet listened, heard the past tense, had, was, needed. People treated her like she was broken, Fletch continued, like she was something to be fixed or pitied or ignored. They'd talk to me instead of her. They'd grab her chair without asking, push her where they thought she should go. They'd pat her head like she was a child. His voice went rough, stopped, started again. She hated it, hated feeling invisible, hated people assuming she couldn't speak for herself. And I didn't always know how to help. I'd hover, I'd do things for her before she asked. I thought I was being helpful, but I was just making it worse. Violet heard him shift, heard leather creak. One day she looked at me and said, Fletch, I need you to stop saving me and start listening to me. And I didn't understand what she meant until she was gone, until it was too late. He stopped. The harbor sounds filled the silence. Waves, gulls, distant voices. So when I saw your tag, Fletch said, when I read please ask before helping me, I thought that's what Maggie wanted. Someone to ask, someone to listen, and I didn't do it enough when I had the chance. So I'm doing it now. Violet's throat felt tight. When did she die? 2 years ago, November. I'm sorry. Me too. They stood there, Violet and this man she had met an hour ago, sharing the weight of loss. Different losses, different stories, but the same shape, the same hole where someone used to be. The cane, Violet said, the space, the asking. You learned that from her. Yeah, it took me too long, but yeah. Violet nodded. Thank you for learning. Thank you for teaching me I still have more to learn. Footsteps approached. Multiple sets. Violet heard Dorothy's voice, heard another man, heard the scrape of boots on wood. Fletch, Dorothy said. The ferry company is asking how much longer. Tell them as long as it takes. They're losing money. They'll survive. The other man spoke. Older voice, uncertain. I need to apologize. Violet recognized the voice. Owen, the angry one, the one who called her cane a stick. Violet, Owen said, and his voice was different now, smaller. I'm the one who yelled at you about the boat. I was wrong, I'm sorry. Violet turned toward him. What was the boat? A model, I make them, wooden boats. This one was called the Lighthouse. It took me 3 weeks. Did it break when I made it fall? No, it's fine, not even a scratch. Then why were you so angry? Owen did not answer right away. Violet heard him take a breath, Heard him set something down on what sounded like a table. Because he said slowly, I wasn't really angry at you. I was angry at the world. My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. And I've been angry ever since. And when the boat fell, I took it out on you, and that was wrong. 2 years ago, the same as Fletch's wife. I'm sorry about your wife, Violet said. I'm sorry I called your cane a stick. It's okay. It's not. But thank you. Violet heard Owen walk away, heard his footsteps slow, then stop, heard him come back. Violet, he said, the boat didn't break, but your cane did. And I know Fletch fixed it, but that fix won't last. So I'd like to make you a new cane. A real one. Wood, oak maybe, or maple. Something strong. Something that won't break. Violet's fingers touched the taped roller. You make boats. I make anything out of wood. Boats, canes, furniture. Whatever people need, and you need a cane. I have a cane. You have a broken cane with tape on it. You deserve better. Violet thought about that, thought about Owen's anger, his apology, his offer, thought about how sometimes people hurt you not because they hate you, but because they are hurting too. Okay, she said, thank you. I'll bring it to your house when it's done. A few weeks maybe. I want to do it right. Okay. Owen left. For real this time. Violet heard his footsteps fade into the crowd noise. Dorothy's radio crackled. A voice came through, garbled. Dorothy answered. Copy. How's she doing? Another crackle, then clearer. Stable, we're moving her to a more comfortable spot near the booth. She's asking for the kid. The kid's right here. Can we bring her over? Dorothy looked at Violet. Violet could not see her, but she could feel the look, could feel the question. Violet, your grandmother wants you close. The medical tent's got a chair set up for her near the information booth. You want to go sit with her? Yes. Okay. The path's still clear. Do you want to walk it yourself or do you want help? Violet tested her cane again. The roller was definitely looser now. She could feel it wobbling, but it still rolled. I'll walk. All right, it's 10 feet. Straight ahead. I'll tell you when you're there. Violet placed her cane on the yellow strip, felt the bumps, and took a step. The roller rolled again. Not smooth, but moving. She counted steps. 1, 2, 3. At 5 steps, a child's voice very close said, Mommy, what's wrong with her? Violet heard the mother shush the child, heard her whisper, She's blind, sweetie. She can't see. Why not? She was in an accident. Will she get better? A pause, then no, honey, but she's okay. She's doing great. Violet did not feel great. She felt tired, felt like the world was watching her walk 10 feet like it was some kind of performance. Felt the weight of being different pressing down on her shoulders, but she kept walking. 6 steps, 7, 8. At 9 steps, someone's bag swung too close. Violet heard it, felt the air move, stepped slightly to the right to avoid it. Her cane left the yellow strip, found smooth wood, no bumps. She stopped, tried to find the strip again, moved the cane left, right, could not find it. Little left, Violet, Dorothy said. 1 foot. Violet adjusted, found the bumps, kept walking. 10 steps, her cane hit the rubber mat. You're there, Dorothy said. Violet stopped, lifted her head. Mabel. Right here, Vi. 2 steps ahead. Violet walked forward. Her cane found the wheelchair again. She moved around it, sat down in the chair next to Mabel, and felt Mabel's arm come around her shoulders. They sat like that for a long time, not talking, just being close. The ferry gate opened. The crowd moved forward, finally allowed to board. Violet heard them passing, heard their footsteps on the ramp, heard a different horn sound. No one was angry, no one complained. They just walked past quietly, and a few of them said, Good job, sweetie, or You're very brave. And Violet did not know what to say to that, so she said nothing. Fletch's voice came from somewhere to the right. Dot, I'm heading out. Cord's got the donation table. You need anything else? No, thank you, Fletch, for everything. Wasn't me, was the kid. Violet heard him start to walk away, heard his boots on the wood getting fainter. Fletch, she called. The footsteps stopped. Thank you for not grabbing my arm. Silence. Then quiet. Thank you for telling me what you needed. The footsteps started again. Faded. Gone. Ida came back with water and medication for Mabel. Mabel took both without arguing. Violet listened to her swallow the pills, heard the water drain from the paper cup. 20 minutes, Ida said. Then I want to check you again. If everything's stable, you can go home. But you need to see your cardiologist this week. Promise me. I promise, Mabel said. Good. Ida left. Mabel and Violet sat in the shade near the information booth listening to the festival continue around them. Vendors calling out. Children laughing. Music playing. The world moving on like nothing had happened. But something had happened. Violet could feel it. Something had shifted. Not just the cleared path or the fixed cane or the apologies. Something deeper. For 18 months, Violet had felt like a burden. Like someone who needed help, who slowed things down, who made life harder for everyone around her. The world had felt like a place designed for people who could see, and she was just trying to survive in the margins. But today, for the first time, the world had bent for her, had stopped, had waited, had asked. And maybe that was what Mabel meant when she said the world should be accessible. Not that Violet should have to change, that the world should change, that people should learn to ask, to listen, to give space. Maybe Violet was not the problem. Maybe the world just needed better teachers. Vi, Mabel said softly. What are you thinking about? Fletch's wife, Owen's wife, how they both died 2 years ago. That's sad. Yeah, but they learned something from their wives, about asking, about space, about not treating people like they're broken. Mabel squeezed her shoulder. You taught them something today, too. What? That kids are stronger than adults think. That blindness doesn't mean helpless. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help and then take it on your own terms. Violet thought about that, about the steps she had walked alone, about the way she had told Fletch what she needed instead of just accepting what he thought she needed, about the way she had kept going even when her cane broke and the crowd pressed in and the world felt too loud. I was scared, she said, I know. But I did it anyway. That's what brave means, baby, not being unafraid, being afraid and doing it anyway. They sat in silence for a while longer. The ferry left. Another one arrived. The crowd thinned slightly, then swelled again. The day moved on. At some point, Violet heard Cordell's voice, the young biker, Fletch's friend. Excuse me, ma'am, Mrs. Caldwell. Yes, Mabel said. I'm Cord. I ride with Fletch. He asked me to give you this. A pause. It's money for a new cane tip. Harbor Medical Supply is 3 blocks north. He called ahead. Super Cheyenne. They're expecting you. Oh, I can't. He said you'd say that. He also said to tell you it's not charity. It's paying forward. Someone helped his wife once when she needed it. This is him doing the same. Mabel was quiet. Then, thank you. Tell him, thank you. I will, ma'am. Cord's footsteps walked away. Violet heard paper rustling. Bills. Mabel counting them. $60, Mabel said softly. That's more than enough for a roller tip. He wanted to make sure, Violet said. Yeah, I guess he did. 20 minutes passed. Ida came back, checked Mabel's vitals again, declared her stable enough to leave, told her again to see her doctor, made her promise again. They stood, Mabel steadier now, Violet with her taped cane. Ready to go home? Mabel asked. Violet shook her head. We need to go to Harbor Medical Supply first, get a new tip. We can do that tomorrow. No, today. Fletch said this one won't last, and I don't want to be stuck again. Mabel squeezed her hand. Okay, today. They walked slowly out of the festival. Violet counting steps, Mabel staying close. The yellow strip led them to the edge of the pier, then ended at the sidewalk. From there, it was just Violet's memory and Mabel's guidance. 3 blocks. Violet counted them. Listened for the change in sound at each intersection. Heard the hardware store on the right, the coffee shop on the left, the bookstore with the wind chimes hanging outside. Harbor Medical Supply smelled like rubber and antiseptic. A bell chimed when they walked in. You must be Violet, a woman's voice said. Kind, older. Fletch called, said you needed a new cane tip. Yes, ma'am. Come on over here, let's see what we're working with. Violet walked forward, cane tapping on linoleum, found the counter, handed over her cane. The woman took it, examined it. Oh, honey, this poor thing. The tape's barely holding, and that roller's bent every which way. "You've been walking on this?" "Yes, ma'am." "You're tougher than you look." The woman disappeared into the back. Violet heard drawers opening, things being moved around. Then she came back. "All right, I've got a standard roller tip here, red like your old one, but I've also got these new ones. They're ceramic, smoother, last longer, don't catch on cracks as much. Cost a little more, but Fletch left enough to cover it." "How much more?" Mabel asked. $10. Mabel hesitated. Violet could hear it. $10 was not nothing. But Fletch had left 60. He had left enough. "The ceramic one," Violet said. "Please." "Good choice." The woman worked quickly. Violet heard the old roller come off, heard the new one slide on, heard the woman test it on the counter. Smooth. No catching. No wobbling. "There you go. Good as new. Better even." She handed the cane back. Violet took it, rolled it on the floor. The ceramic tip glided. Barely made a sound. It felt like floating. "Thank you," Violet said. "You're welcome, sweetheart. You come back if you need anything else. And you tell Fletch I said hi." "I will." They left the store, walked back toward the bus stop. The festival was winding down now, the crowd thinning, the vendors packing up. Violet heard music still playing somewhere, heard the ocean, heard her cane rolling smooth and quiet on the sidewalk. "Vi," Mabel said after a while, "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For being brave, for asking for help, for teaching people how to see you." Violet did not know what to say to that, so she just held Mabel's hand and kept walking. They caught the bus home, sat in the same seat they always did. Violet counted the stops, counted the turns, built the map in her mind. When they got home, Mabel made dinner. Violet set the table. They ate in comfortable silence, forks scraping plates, the kitchen clock ticking. After dinner, Violet sat on the porch with her new cane, rolled it back and forth on the wooden boards, listened to the sound it made, smooth, steady, sure. She thought about Fletch and the space he gave her, thought about Owen and his wooden boats and his apology, thought about Dorothy stopping the ferry, thought about Ida checking on Mabel, thought about the crowd that had waited, that had moved back, that had made room. She thought about the yellow strip that was supposed to be there, that had been buried, that was clear now. And she thought about tomorrow and the day after that, and all the days ahead, where she would have to walk through a world that was not built for her. But maybe, just maybe, it could learn. Maybe people could learn. Maybe all it took was one person asking instead of grabbing. One person giving space instead of crowding. One person listening instead of assuming. Maybe that was enough to start. Violet stood, walked inside, the route she'd memorized months ago from kitchen to bedroom. She knew every inch. She climbed into bed, pulled the blanket up, listened to Mabel moving around in the other room getting ready for sleep. And for the first time in 18 months, Violet fell asleep not counting the things she had lost, but counting the things she had learned. How to ask for help, how to trust strangers, how to walk across metal plates through a crowd that had learned to be quiet, how to fix what was broken, how to keep going when the world felt too loud, how to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was going to be okay. The morning would come, the alarm would tick, Mabel's slippers would shuffle, and Violet would get up and count her steps and face the world again. But tonight she slept and dreamed of smooth ceramic rollers and cleared paths and careful distances and men who asked before they helped. And in her dreams, the world was kind. 4 months passed before Owen knocked on the door. Violet heard him coming before he reached the porch, heard the truck engine cut off at the curb, heard the door slam, heard footsteps on the walkway. Heavy boots, hesitant, then 3 knocks evenly spaced. She was at the kitchen table doing homework. Math problems read aloud by the computer, answers typed on a keyboard she had learned to navigate by touch. The same route from her bed to this chair that she walked every morning. She knew it well. "I'll get it," Mabel called from the living room. Violet heard the front door open, heard Mabel's small intake of breath. "Owen," Mabel said. "Hello?" "Mrs. Caldwell, I hope I'm not disturbing you. I know I should have called first, but I don't have your number and I wanted to bring this in person." "Bring what?" "The cane, for Violet. I promised I'd make her one. Took longer than I thought. Wanted to get it right." Silence. Then Mabel said, "Come in, please." Violet heard Owen step inside, heard him stop in the entryway. His breathing was loud in the quiet house. Nervous breathing. "Violet," Mabel called. "You have a visitor." Violet saved her homework. Stood. Found her cane leaning against the table. The ceramic tip Fletch had paid for still rolled smooth after 4 months. She had worn it down slightly, had walked miles on it, but it held. She walked to the living room, her cane finding the familiar path. She knew these steps too. "Hi, Owen," she said. "Hi, Violet." His voice was different than she remembered, softer, less angry. "I brought you something." She heard him shift, heard wood scrape against wood. Then he said, "May I put it in your hands?" Violet extended her hands, felt wood settle across her palms, smooth wood, warm, heavier than her regular cane. "It's oak, Owen said, "from a tree in my backyard. The same tree my wife Sarah planted when we bought the house 30 years ago. It died last winter. Storm took it down. But the wood was still good, strong. I thought it should become something that helps someone." Violet's fingers explored the cane. It was thicker than her regular one. The handle was carved, not just rounded. She felt ridges, patterns, something deliberate. "What's on the handle?" she asked. "A lighthouse, 43 rays coming from it. Each ray is 1 month. 43 months since you lost your sight. You told me once that counting helps you be brave. So I carved you something to count." Violet's throat went tight. Her fingers traced the rays. 1, 2, 3. She counted all 43. "The tip is ceramic," Owen continued. "Same kind as the one Fletch got you. But I carved a wooden housing for it. Maple, it's reinforced. Won't crack or split like the rubber housing on your regular cane." Violet ran her fingers down the shaft. It was sanded so smooth it felt like water. At the bottom, she felt the ceramic tip set into carved wood. Perfect, precise. "It's beautiful," Mabel said quietly. "Can I try it?" Violet asked. "That's why I brought it." Violet set her regular cane aside, held Owen's cane vertical. It was taller than her regular one. She adjusted her grip, found the balance point. "I made it for your height now," Owen said. "But there's a brass collar near the handle. You can adjust it as you grow. Should last you years." Violet took a step. The ceramic tip touched the floor and made almost no sound. The cane felt solid, stable, like it would never break no matter what the world threw at it. She took another step, then another. Walked across the living room to the wall, walked back. The cane moved like it was part of her, like it had always been hers. "How does it feel?" Owen asked. "Like it won't leave me." She heard Owen's breath catch, heard him clear his throat. "Good," he said. "That's what I wanted, something reliable, something you can trust." Violet walked back to him, stopped at the respectful distance Fletch had taught her was kindness. "Thank you, Owen." "You're welcome, Violet." They stood there for a moment. Then Owen said, "I need to tell you something. An apology I should have said better at the harbor." "You already apologized." "Not well enough. Not honestly." He paused. "When I yelled at you that day, it wasn't about the boat. It was about my wife, Sarah. She died 2 years ago from cancer, and I've been angry ever since. Angry at the world for taking her. Angry at myself for not saving her. And when you bumped into me when the boat fell, I saw a chance to yell at someone, and I took it. That was wrong. You didn't deserve my anger. No one does." Violet heard him shift his weight, heard the leather of his jacket creak. "But watching you walk that day," Owen continued, "watching you be scared and do it anyway, watching you ask for help, but do the hard parts yourself. It reminded me of Sarah. She was terrified of dying, terrified of leaving me alone. But she did it anyway, did it with grace. And I've been dishonoring her memory by being bitter and angry and mean." His voice broke. He stopped, started again. "So I made you this cane to say I'm sorry, to say I'm trying to be better, to say that maybe if I help someone else the way I should have helped Sarah, maybe I can forgive myself for all the times I hovered when I should have stepped back." Violet's fingers found the lighthouse on the handle, counted the rays again. 43. One for each month she had lived in darkness. One for each month she had learned to see differently. "My dad used to hover," Violet said quietly. "After I went blind, he'd follow me around the house. Wouldn't let me do anything alone. He was trying to protect me, but it made me feel broken. She had never said that out loud before, had barely let herself think it. But Owen had been honest with her, and she wanted to be honest back. He died in the accident that took my sight, Violet continued. So I never got to tell him that I needed space more than I needed protection. I never got to teach him how to help me better. I'm sorry, Violet. Me too. She paused. But you're not my dad, and I'm not your wife. We're just two people who lost someone, and we're trying to figure out how to keep living. Yeah, Owen said. Yeah, we are. Mabel's voice soft. Owen, would you like some coffee? I should go. Please, stay for a little while. Violet heard Owen hesitate. Then, all right, thank you. They sat in the living room. Mabel brought coffee and the cookies she had baked that morning. Owen told them about his woodworking shop, about the boats he was making for a museum exhibit, about the grief support group he had finally joined. Violet listened, asked questions, learned that Owen had a daughter in Seattle who called every Sunday, learned that he played guitar badly but enthusiastically, learned that he was teaching woodworking to kids at the community center on Thursdays. You should come, Owen said to Violet. If you want, I've got tools set up for different abilities. Kids in wheelchairs, kids with limited hand mobility. I could set something up for you. Violet thought about it, thought about learning to make things with her hands, thought about creating something instead of just navigating through space that other people had created. I'd like that, she said. Good. I'll talk to your grandmother about scheduling. They talked until the coffee was gone and the afternoon light had shifted. Violet felt it through the window, the warmth on her face changing angle. Time passing, the world turning. When Owen left, he shook Mabel's hand and told Violet to take care of the cane, that it was made to last a lifetime if she treated it right. After he drove away, Violet sat on the porch with the new cane, ran her fingers over the lighthouse again, counted the rays, thought about Owen carving each one, thought about him counting the months of her darkness and turning them into something beautiful. He's healing, Mabel said from the doorway. So am I, Violet said. Yeah, baby, you are. That night, Violet dreamed of lighthouses, dreamed of standing in one, counting the seconds between each rotation of light. 43 seconds. One for each ray, one for each month, one for each lesson learned in darkness about how to find your way home. She woke to the alarm tick, to Mabel's shuffling steps in the hallway, to the familiar sounds of morning. But she reached for Owen's cane instead of her regular one, felt the lighthouse handle, counted the rays. Then she stood, walked to the kitchen, used the new cane. It felt different, heavier, but good, like she was carrying something that mattered. Weeks passed. Violet used Owen's cane every day, walked to school with it, walked to the library, walked to the grocery store where she helped Mabel shop her fingers, finding the Braille labels they had requested, her voice reading them aloud. She went to Owen's woodworking class on Thursdays, learned to sand by feel, to measure by touch, to create by listening to the grain of the wood, made a small box with a sliding lid, made a bookmark, made a picture frame that she gave to Mabel for her birthday. The months turned, summer came, then fall, then winter. On a Tuesday in November, 2 years and 6 months after the accident, Violet and Mabel took the bus back to Saltwater Bay, back to the harbor where everything had changed. It was not a festival day, just a regular Tuesday morning. The pier was quiet, a few fishermen, a couple walking their dog, seagulls and waves and the distant sound of a ferry. They walked to the spot where Violet had bumped into Fletch, where her cane had broken, where the yellow strip had been buried. The strip was clear now. Violet could feel it under her cane, could feel the raised bumps guiding her. No crates, no signs, no obstacles. They keep it clear, Mabel said. Dorothy told me, after what happened with you, the Harbor Commission made it a violation to block the accessible paths. They check it every day. Violet nodded, walked the length of the strip, from the information booth to the ferry dock. The path she had walked terrified while hundreds of people watched. She walked it again now. Not terrified, not performing, just walking, counting steps, feeling the ceramic tip glide over the bumps. At the end of the path, she stopped, turned toward the ocean, felt the wind on her face, smelled salt water. You want to know something, Mabel said. What? I think about that day a lot, about how scared I was when I woke up in that bathroom, how terrified I was that something had happened to you, how helpless I felt. Violet heard Mabel sit down on a bench, heard her pat the seat beside her. Violet sat, rested Owen's cane against her leg. But then I heard Dot's voice on the radio, Mabel continued, heard her say you were safe, that someone named Fletch was with you, that you were okay, and I realized you were okay. Without me, you figured it out. You asked for help. You made it. Mabel's hand found Violet's, squeezed. I spent so long trying to protect you, Mabel said, trying to make sure nothing bad ever happened to you again. But I couldn't protect you from getting lost. Couldn't protect you from your cane breaking. Couldn't protect you from having to walk those terrifying steps alone. You taught me how to do it, Violet said. The counting, the breathing, the asking for help. That was all you. No, baby, that was you. I just gave you the tools. You used them. They sat in silence, listened to the harbor, listened to the world. Mabel, Violet said after a while, are you taking your medicine? Every dose. Twice a day, I promise. Good. My doctor says my heart is stable, says if I keep taking the medicine and reduce my stress, I could have years, decades even. Violet felt something loosen in her chest, something that had been tight since the day Mabel collapsed. Good, she said again. They stayed at the harbor for an hour, walked the pier, got lunch from a vendor selling fish and chips, sat and ate and listened to the ocean. As they were leaving, Violet heard a familiar sound. Motorcycle engines, distant but getting closer. That sounds like Fletch, Mabel said. The engines got louder, then cut off. Violet heard boots on wood, multiple sets, then Fletch's voice. Violet Caldwell, as I live and breathe. Violet turned toward the voice, smiled. Hi, Fletch. Hi yourself. What brings you back to the bay? Just visiting, wanted to see if the path was still clear. And oh, it is. Good. Dot doesn't mess around. She's got that path marked on every vendor permit now. Block it and you're gone. Violet heard someone else approach. Younger voice, Cordell. Is that the girl? Cord asked. The one from the festival. That's her, Fletch said. Man, Dot still talks about you, says you changed how they run the whole harbor. Violet did not know what to say to that. She had not meant to change anything. She had just wanted to find her grandmother. I'm not famous, she said. Maybe not, Fletch said. But you made a difference. That counts for something. Another voice, older, Owen. Violet, Mabel, good to see you. Owen, Mabel said warmly. We didn't know you'd be here. Veterans fundraiser, same as last time. We do it every year. Violet realized. November, 2 years since Fletch's wife died. 2 years since Owen's wife died. And here they were together raising money for people who needed help. How's the cane holding up? Owen asked. Violet held it up. Perfect. I use it every day. Good, that's what it's for. They talked for a few minutes. Fletch told them about the new members in his motorcycle club. Cord told them about his baby daughter born 3 months ago. Owen told them about the museum exhibit, how 3 of his boats had been selected. Then Fletch said, Violet, you got a minute? Want to show you something? Okay. Mabel said, I'll wait here. Fletch led Violet down the pier. His boots were loud on the wood. Violet followed the sound, her cane finding the path. They stopped near the railing. Violet heard water below, heard ropes creaking. You know what today is? Fletch asked. Tuesday. November 14th, 2 years since Maggie died. Violet went quiet. Let Fletch have the space to say what he needed to say. I come here every year, Fletch continued, to this spot. This is where I scattered her ashes, right here in the bay. She loved the ocean, loved watching the ferries come and go, so I brought her here. Let her go. Violet heard him shift, heard leather creak. For 2 years I came here and I felt nothing but grief, Fletch said. Nothing but loss. But this year I come here and I think about you, about that day, about how you taught me what Maggie had been trying to teach me all along. What's that? That helping isn't doing, it's asking, it's listening, it's giving space, he paused. Maggie tried to tell me that for years, but I didn't really hear it until I read your tag, until I saw you be brave enough to say what you needed, until I watched you walk those steps while hundreds of people held their breath. Violet felt the wind on her face, felt the ocean spray, felt the world turning. I think Maggie would have liked you, Fletch said quietly. I think I would have liked her too. They stood there for a while, not talking, just being. Two people connected by loss and learning in the strange way the world brings people together exactly when they need each other. Finally, Fletch said, "Thank you, Violet." For what? For bumping into me, for teaching me, for being brave when I needed to see what brave looks like. Violet thought about that day, about the terror and the broken cane and the cleared path, about the steps that had felt impossible, about the way the world had stopped and waited and made room. "Thank you for asking first," she said. "Always will," Fletch said. "That's a promise." They walked back to where Mabel was waiting. Fletch said goodbye, told them to come back any time, told Violet she was always welcome at the bay. Violet and Mabel caught the bus home, sat in their usual seat. Violet counted the stops, counted the turns, built the map in her mind. When they got home, Violet did her homework, ate dinner, sat on the porch with Owen's cane and watched the sun set in the only way she could, by feeling the warmth fade from her face, by hearing the birds change their songs, by sensing the world shift from day to night. Mabel came out and sat beside her. "You know what I realized today," Mabel said. "What?" "That accident took a lot from you. Took your sight, took your parents, took the life you thought you'd have." Violet nodded. It was true, all of it. "But it gave you something too," Mabel continued. "Gave you strength, gave you courage, gave you the ability to teach people how to see differently, not with their eyes, but with their hearts." "I don't feel strong," Violet said. "I know, but you are. You're the strongest person I know." They sat in silence as the night came. As the stars appeared in a sky Violet could not see but knew was there. As the world turned and darkness fell and the day ended. But the day had not really ended, not completely. Because somewhere in the world, someone was learning to ask before helping. Someone was learning to give space. Someone was learning that different is not broken, that disability is not tragedy, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit you do not know and ask someone to teach you. And maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. Violet stood, walked inside, the path from porch to bedroom that she'd walked 1,000 times. She knew every step. She got ready for bed, brushed her teeth, changed into pajamas, climbed under the covers. Mabel came in to say goodnight, kissed her forehead, told her she loved her. "Love you too," Violet said. "Sweet dreams, baby. You too." Mabel left, closed the door. Violet heard her walk down the hall, heard the pauses, still there but shorter now. The medication was working. Mabel was getting stronger. Violet reached out in the dark and found Owen's cane, ran her fingers over the lighthouse, counted the rays. 43. One for each month of darkness, one for each lesson learned. But tomorrow there would be 44, and the day after 45. The count would keep growing, the months would keep passing, and Violet would keep learning, keep growing, keep walking through a world that was slowly and perfectly learning to make room for people like her. She thought about Fletch and the space he gave, thought about Owen and his wooden lighthouse, thought about Dorothy and her cleared path, thought about Ida and her kindness, thought about Cord and his baby girl, thought about all the people who had learned something that day at the harbor. And she thought about tomorrow when she would wake to the alarm tick, walk to the kitchen, eat breakfast, go to school, live her life. Not a tragic life, not a broken life, just a life, different but whole. The world was learning, one cleared path at a time, one question asked before helping, one person choosing to listen instead of assume, and Violet was teaching it. Not by being inspirational, not by being brave, just by existing, just by asking for what she needed, just by walking while the world watched and learned. That was enough. That was everything. Violet closed her eyes, not because she needed to, the darkness was the same either way, but because it felt right, because it was how you were supposed to sleep. And she dreamed of lighthouses, of ceramic rollers gliding smooth over tactile strips, of careful distances and question asked and hands that waited, of a world learning slowly to see. The morning came to the Caldwell house the way it always did with sound. But this time, 6 months later, Violet didn't count the alarm ticks, didn't count Mabel's steps, didn't count the distance to the kitchen. She just walked. 49 rays on the lighthouse now, 49 months. And tomorrow 50. At breakfast, Mabel set down the newspaper. Says here the Saltwater Bay Harbor Commission adopted new accessibility standards. Named them the Caldwell Protocol. That's us, Vi. Violet paused fork midway to her mouth. What does that mean? Means every harbor in Oregon has to keep tactile paths clear, has to train staff on how to ask before helping, has to, Mabel's voice went soft, has to remember you. Violet thought about that, thought about Fletch and Owen and Dorothy, thought about the vendor's daughter tugging his sleeve, thought about hundreds of people learning to be quiet. They didn't remember me, she said finally. They remembered to ask. There's a difference. Mabel smiled. Yeah, baby, there is. 6 months later, on a Thursday, Violet taught her first woodworking class at Owen's shop. 5 kids, 3 in wheelchairs, 1 with cerebral palsy, 1 who'd lost his hearing. Welcome, Violet said, standing at the front with Owen beside her. I'm Violet. I can't see, but I can teach you how to make a box. And the first rule is, if you need help, tell me what kind. Don't wait for me to guess. Deal. 5 voices, all different, all certain, deal. Owen caught himself starting to nod, then remembered to speak. She's got this, he said to the parent in the back. I know, the parent said. That's why we came. At Saltwater Bay, the yellow tactile strip ran unbroken from the parking lot to every dock. A small bronze plaque near the information booth read, In memory of the day we learned to listen, dedicated to everyone who asked before helping. Dorothy Merrick walked past it every morning, checked the path every morning, and every morning she thought of a 9-year-old girl who taught a harbor how to see. Fletcher Garrison visited Margaret's spot less often now. Not because he'd forgotten, because he'd learned what she'd wanted him to learn. He scattered new flowers once a year, oak leaves from Owen's tree, and he whispered the same thing every time. I'm asking now, Maggie. Finally asking, finally listening. The ocean didn't answer, but somehow he thought she heard. And Violet woke to alarm ticks and Mabel's shuffles and the sound of morning. But she didn't count the steps anymore. She just walked, and the world slowly and perfectly, beautifully made room.